Hi everyone. Hard to believe that tomorrow's already the last day of the course. For my research, I chose to examine female roles in STEM fields. The article that I examined was entitled Understanding the Gender Gap, Social Cognitive Changes During an Introductory STEM Course by Erin Hardin and Melanie Longhurst. They composed their research to answer the question of why undergraduate degrees in STEM are becoming the most popular programs among those entering college. However, anywhere from 38% to more than two-thirds of students who begin programs in STEM do not complete them, with more women than men choosing to leave STEM fields to pursue other undergraduate degrees. Their research focused on self-efficacy, outcome expectations, and interest to measure the likelihood of sticking with a STEM degree or course. In order to determine, all students were surveyed in an introductory chemistry class at two different intervals in the semester. So they administered a survey that asked questions like, do you like to read? Do you enjoy taking chemistry classes? How do you feel you might do in this course? How likely are you to succeed? Things like that as a self-survey, rating themselves and their interests. The results that they found was actually that there were no gaps from the first survey to the second survey for any gender across the board. This means that women are entering these courses with low self-efficacy. It's not like they're coming in all gung-ho to get started and that their interest in self-efficacy is declining. They found that women were at a disadvantage. They had less self-efficacy for their ability to succeed in STEM classes, and they also had lower interest in obtaining a STEM degree. One interesting note to point out was that men actually experienced an increase in perceived support for pursuit of their STEM degree across a single semester. So while there wasn't a gap, it seemed that men felt like they were more supported in their pursuit. They had a few suggestions for solutions. They called for more research into why and when these gender gaps occur, and thought that students should be assessed earlier in their academic careers and for longer periods of time. They also thought that it would be important to extend research to determine how minorities are similarly affected by these social cognitive factors. The reason I chose this as my topic, I just think that this first statistic is kind of startling, that males are overrepresented in most science, technology, engineering, and mathematics careers compared to females. That says that recent figures indicate that 73% of science and engineering occupations are held by males, while females only hold 27%. It's kind of crazy. And I saw a statistic that it's been under 30% for over 20 years now in specific fields that are newer, and that doesn't seem to be changing. So while STEM careers are on the rise, females being represented aren't. And so I thought it was my responsibility to encourage all of my students, not just girls, that they can do whatever they put their heart to, regardless of their gender or their race, and that all students should be given the opportunity for success and failure in these fields. I wanted to throw in the failure part because we need to encourage our students to persevere through challenges and, build up their grit. So I asked myself, how can educators encourage all students, especially girls, to develop an interest in STEM subjects? Jo Boaler, her book I read for one of the mathematics courses really was inspiring to me in this quote, without deep understanding, girls underachieve. They turn away from mathematics and often develop anxiety. So they have that desire for deep understanding, and that it's educators' responsibility to provide students with the opportunity for problem-based learning, collaboration, and perseverance instead of rote memorization and repeated practice. So going back to when we examined Bloom's taxonomy, those higher level thinking skills, not just hitting that bottom tier. Again, the difference between having a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. In my own classroom with Carol Dweck, her concept of a growth mindset and the power of yet is extremely important. Don't give up. You can do anything as long as you continue to try and put your best effort into it. You will be able to succeed in the future. I also talked about Vygotsky's zone of proximal development in my paper, and how, again, it's important to challenge students to just go beyond, just a little bit beyond where their level is for them to continue to grow. Not super challenging, but also not just providing them with easy coverage of material. Another part that's important to point out is the idea of active engagement and intrinsic motivation. Going back to that problem-based learning, it's important that students are actively engaged and have a say in their educational journey, and that they can become intrinsically motivated. They're not just doing something for the reward. And again, going back to one of my presentations in previous weeks, that it takes a village in order for students to be successful. It's important for teachers in the school to involve parents and the community in the education process. So I found this quote that I thought was important to include. It says, "Sadly, today girls strive for a perfection that is so unhealthy. What role models do you want for girls? The Kardashians or Jane Goodall, Grace Hopper, Sally Ride? Let's help girls see that the common notions of perfection are just that, common and arbitrary, and that experimentation and prototyping and do-overs are the new standard for which to survive, or for which to thrive." And just leaving you with one last quote: "Science is not a boys' game, it's not a girls' game, it's everyone's game. It's about where we are and where we're going." And that's by Nichelle Nichols. Here's my sources. Thanks.